Hi, good morning. Today we have Janne Kareinen talking. Come on in.
Good morning from my part also. Do you hear in back there my voice clearly, easily? Good. So I come from Artava, which is cultural and neighborhood association in Arabianranta, Toukola and Vanha Kaupunki. And we have done things there, for example, that Artava model. And I think that this team is really challenging for me and really important thing to me. I very often think why to do anything, why I do things that I do, and if I don't find a meaning, I quit those things. And I have very bad reputation with my friends because I'm always saying that quit your job, quit your doing, don't do it, do something else. And I think that it's important. I think that only thing that I have is time. And I try to use it meaningful way, what is meaningful for me. And as I have promised to talk about Artava model, I will take examples from Artava and also Arabia Street Festival. I don't know if somebody of you know Arabia Street Festival. Could you put hands up? Okay, very nice. In beginning in 2008, Artava was in different name, with different name, and it was dead. It was neighborhood association, which was very normal neighborhood association. There was total devastation and fatigueness and bitterness towards the action. And then there was 5 persons which make this kind of revolution in that neighborhood association. We actually did take this kind of vallankumous. What is vallankumous? Revolution. We went to the board and then we did take the power. And then first thing that we thought that what are the things that we have to do differently that we don't end up to be in the same position in something like after 5 years. And the position which we tried to avoid was bitterness and devastation or that kind of fatigueness. And then we start to talk. What are the things that we have to avoid, or what are the things that we have to do that we are not going to end up in that kind of bitter way quite short of time, quite quick. And then first thing that we do, we decide that we will say yes to anything. We don't say no in any things that people will ask or suggest that could we do this and this. Because it was totally different direction that normally neighborhood association was doing in that time. And there was 5 of us, and we didn't have any money, and we didn't have any partners, or we just have this area, this Arabianranta, Toukola and Vanha Kaupunki area. And then we have some ideas and passion to do things so that it would be more lively area. And then we start to ask people and also ask organizations and schools and companies to do things with us. And one very early thing was recycling happening, and it is now Arabia Street Festival. And we were thinking that it would be very nice if there would be this kind of happening, that people thought that this happening is they happening. They thought that they can do things in the streets, and they can think that those streets are their own or parks are their own, so that you don't have to ask permission to put your sofa in the street or put your table or blanket or make picnic, even there's huge amount of people. And then it started. There was art and recycling in that first year, 2008. And then in that year 2008, there was huge amount of different kind of actions which were organized different kind of groups. And from the starting point that there was 5 persons in beginning of 2008, and in end of 2008 there was something like 100 active volunteers, people doing different kind of things in groups. And it was amazing, and it was very that kind of hooking to me, that and also with those other 4 people, that what we have done, what has happened, why there's so many people doing very actively and very passionately these kind of things. And then we start to think that what are these things that we have sort of accidentally done rightly. And then few years goes by, and then we have more volunteers and more groups and more actions, and then we still are thinking that what we are doing, what is this thing that is happening over here? And then came year 2011, and we did get a possibility to make this Artva model, which you were mentioning, and then we analyzed 6 groups, which were, yeah, and we analyzed 6 groups which were doing different things. There was Design Dog Park, Arabia Street Festival, which was in that time still it was recycling happening, and then art festival, and later it came Arabia Street Festival. And then there was Artva Film Festival, and then there was My House Arabian Ranta, and other different kind of groups. And then we find out that there's certain same thing in every groups which works. There was also groups that didn't work, and there always will be that kind of groups also. And those same kind of things that we find out that help to do things in passionate way were quite simple, and I will tell you few of them. And I will use this Arabia Street Festival as example and tell how it have been done, in how we do it in every year. There will be new group in every year when we start it. And first thing what we do in that group, we have workshop, and we define our shared goals. And we try to say in that workshop that you don't have to do the same happening again. In this year there was 25,000 visitors, and there was something like a little bit less than 300 artists, and huge amount of actions in that area in one day, in 6 hours. And in this starting workshop, we try to say as clear as we can that you don't have to do same things, and you have all the power to do things which you want to do. And we try to say that if you want to have this kind of small campfire happening this year, you can do it. And nobody will come and say that you did wrongly. So we try to give total power and also responsibility for that group in that action which they are doing. And I think that this is one main thing. Did you say? Okay, good. I think that I have used something like a little bit less than 10 minutes. We try to say that this is your hands now. Do whatever you want to do. There's certain kind of themes. So it's street happening, so it should be in street, not inside. And main goal is not to have as much people or as great happening as it could be. Main thing is to have passion from doing it. To have a pleasure to do that volunteer thing which we are doing in that time. It doesn't matter if there is 5 persons to coming. If you are satisfied in that group action that you have done together. And that kind of thing that helps to think roles, what kind of role you have in that group, is that we usually ask what is your passion, not what you can do or what skills you have. We ask what is your will and what is your passion to do, what you have always wanted to do. Now it's your time to do that thing. And then, because most of that group that started to do Arabia Street Festival this year is new. They have no knowledge about this year's happening. So we try to help them. And then there's few very simple things that you can do so that it's much more easier to come to be a part of that group, even if you don't have any knowledge at all beforehand. And one very fundamental thing is that we try to be as transparent as informatic or share information as transparent and easily as it possible. And we use interests. And we have written down all happenings, all memos and all plans and all cooperation deals and all things that we can write it down. And then we open this intra, those new person. And we try to make that kind of very transparent and shared decisions in that group. So that everybody has that kind of equal possibility to be a part in decision making. And then one very important thing is to make roles, so that every person has a right size role considering whole life, not just that voluntary job, but thinking also work and also other hobbies and possibly family and neighbors and friends, so that it would be that kind of suitable and right size role for every person. And then also, because there's something like 1/3 of people in this group, they are doing that festival again and again and again. They're some kind of hooked. And it's so pleasurable. I have been there in beginning of 2008 and still I have different kind of role. doing it now, but I'm still totally hooked because it's so pleasurable to do it. And a very important thing if you that you don't get bitter is that you don't think that you have to do same thing year after year after year. And we say people in every year that now you can think a different role for yourself. Just tell what is your role that you want to play in this year or want to be responsible of this year. And then we also try to make this role so sharp and right sizes that nobody thinks that they have too much to do or too little to do, so that they would feel that it's right size. And then also cooperation, because we didn't have money or person, we ask people to come together with us. And usually we said all people that don't do it by yourself. Ask somebody to do it with you, or then we can help you to get a group to do things. And this way, through this kind of group action, that you have very high transparency, shared decision making, very clear roles, very clear knowledge of that you have all the power and responsibility. Nobody else is going to decide beside of this group what will happen and what it will be. And in same time you have all responsibility. Nobody is doing it if you don't do it. And these things have gathered that kind of good mess or good kind of group action, that it's easy to do things and it's same way very pleasurable to do it. And I hope that you ask things later, because I'm much more better to answering good questions than making this kind of starting speaks. But I will speak a little bit more still my perspective in new work that I think that I will do in later, and I am doing it now. For me, it's very interesting how work has changed, and hobbies and work have mixed together. And this is the reason why I say very often my friends or people that I just talk and they tell that they are not so happy with their life. This is the reason why I said that why you do this thing. Who is telling you to do these things? And I think that hobbies and works mixed nicely nowadays in certain jobs. And I'm living happily in that kind of bubble, that I have that kind of person around me that can choose their jobs and can also choose their hobbies, and happily that kind of situation in their life, that they can very easily mix their time. They don't have to work in 8 to 5 or something like that. They can do works in different time and different part of day. And they also can make hobbies in different part of day. And I think that this is a very interesting and nice mixture to use your time. I have 3 small kids, and my kids are with me in the board meetings and hobbies, and my oldest kid, which is now 11, has made first meeting with his friend when he was 3 in kitchen table, and they started the meeting, and then they make decisions, and then they end the meeting. Probably he will hate meetings when he's grow up, but I think it's very I think it's nice. I think that there isn't any that kind of regulation or rule that says that you have to think about work in this way, or you have to think about hobbies in this way. You can make your own way to mix these things up. I was living in India in one winter, and it was very important to me. It was 96 and 97. And in that time in Finland, education and jobs were very steady. And it was that kind of bad if you study something or if you have work in some workplace, something like 10 years, then you probably will go in that direction with that path. And when I was living in Delhi, I suddenly saw it that there isn't no person telling you that it should be like that. There was some human doctor which have established street dog hospital. And in Finland, if you would do that, be respectable human doctor and establish dog hospital, there might be some kind of questions that is this still good human doctor. And then there was tailors which were tailoring very good professional skills along this kind of sandy roads with this kind of, in Finland we did have these kind of sieving machines. They have this firm in that beside of sandy road, and they have customers, and then they have very small mirror which was quite far away, and they did very beautiful and very skillful clothes. So these kind of through these kind of notions, I suddenly understand that I don't have to do anything that I think that somebody else is telling me. I think that my family is hoping to me to do, or somebody else is hoping that I would do that kind of things. And so I have quit many jobs and many hobbies also. And one very important thing which makes things pleasurable is also notion that things don't have to be permanent, or they don't have to continue forever. For example, these creative mornings, nobody knows if there is these creative mornings after 10 years or after 1 year. And I think that it's a very good thing. And when you have this kind of idea that you don't have to do things forever, it makes things much more lighter. And this is one thing that also we try to speak up in those groups and in the beginning, that if it feels right, you can do it, but if you don't just get it, or you don't just have idea that why I'm doing this, you can quit it. I think that this was some kind of start, and I hope that you ask difficult or easy questions, and I hope that I can answer for them. Thank you.
Thank you.